Hey guys, welcome back to LS Vintage Design. I'm Lisa. How's everyone doing today? It is Tuesday, not Monday, because I was tired yesterday, I guess. I don't know. I was busy. I've been busy setting up. Tons of things are going on behind the scenes, plus you guys are getting Cooking Vintage on Friday. So I had to go in, find what we're cooking, get all the recipes, all of that fun stuff. And we are doing a club sandwich. This is a sandwich that from the 1950s that movie stars would eat back in the day at the golf club, the country club. And is there any cooking to it? Yes, because it has chicken on it. So we will be making our club sandwich on Friday. I just posted Instagram over there with the ingredients. So my Instagram is linked below. It's LS Vintage Designs, I believe. Anyway, it's below. So click on Instagram link, go over to my Instagram and click follow over there, subscribe, whatever it is. But on YouTube today, we are talking about vintage lighting. The thing with vintage lighting is you have to be careful because we're talking electricity and we're talking lighting made, 40s, 50s, 60s when the power grid, the homes, everything was a lot different. So my number one warning, or my number one thing if I list vintage lighting in my Etsy shop, is to always rewire it. If I go to the expense, it's going to be too expensive for you guys because it's going to be my time, travel, all of that. Okay, so it's better if you guys buy the lamps and rewire them yourselves, whether from me or from somebody else. So if I do resell vintage lighting, they come with a big warning. Rewire them, okay? Just rewire vintage lighting. Be safe. And I say that because my mom had a lamp that wasn't even vintage. Well, I mean, it was old, but it wasn't vintage. And it burst into flames. And it was her lamp. She had bought it new. So just, you never know about those things. So that's always a warning that goes with all of my light. What kind of vintage lighting is out there for you? Well, there's all sorts, and there's also repops. My favorite period is mid-century modern, and I happen to have a great example here. So mid-century modern lights can look a bunch of different ways, but they tend to have a very unique look to them. They tend to have teak wood, and a lot of them have a ceramic or almost a stucco looking base. Some will just be ceramic. This is a stucco looking lamp. And there's the teak, okay? Now, how do I know this is true vintage? Well, one, I know, I know from the look of it. But two, I know from the stamp on the lamp itself. I can look it up. And I know from the plug. And I'm going to show you the plug in just a second. I know from the plug. You can tell an aged plug anywhere. So those are the things. Sometimes they'll have stickers on the bottom. Be careful though. Some unscrupulous sellers will stick old stickers on repop lamps and say they redid them. So just make sure you know your seller and make sure you yourself know how to identify vintage lighting. There's also vintage chandeliers. There's vintage wall sconces. So you just have to do your homework when you're deciding what type of vintage lighting you want to buy. And I bought some they had beautiful porcelain wall sconces from the 1920s, 30s. They were right when electricity went to homes. Some of them used to be candles and they've been rewired into electric. I love porcelain vintage wall sconces. I would put those in my bathroom all day long. Hey guys, I'm popping. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm popping in here for a second. I couldn't find the porcelain ones I sold, but I found a set of cast iron wall sconces I sold, which I'm going to post pictures now. And I'm also going to post a picture of my mid-century wall sconces I have in my living room. They also have vintage wall sconces that are cast iron. Be careful. Some of these things can be too heavy for houses today. It's true. Houses are not built like they were back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So make sure your walls, your drywall can withstand whatever type of wall sconce you're adhering to it, and make sure you're in a stud. Now, there's all sorts of vintage lighting. There's all sorts of vintage lighting brands out there. So the main thing is to do your research, and a lot of times the way you can do research is through the internet, of course, but sometimes it's hard to decipher what the internet's telling you. I have a Vintage Lighters Collector's Guide. You can purchase books yourself in used bookstores, sometimes new. So how do you identify a repop versus a true vintage? Well, again, the plug is a dead giveaway. The style, there are vintage Tiffany lamps. Be careful, there's a lot of repops, and that one I would almost ask an expert on. You can tell by the patina of a lamp. If it's a metal base, it'll be discolored. It'll age. It'll have a patina. A lot of brass or copper lamps will have like that greenish color on them. They'll be pitted. I had a faux brass one that was pitted. That was the one that the lady picked medium metal on. Okay, guys? So look at your metals. They're real metals back in the day, not fake metals. Okay, what are some not good indicators? Like if you think something is vintage but you're not 100% sure, there's no stickers on it, the plug has been redone, but they're telling you, oh no, it's vintage, I'm just charging you a lot of money because I went and rewired it for you. Fiberglass lampshades were all the rage. That's those double layered shades from the 50s. I'll pop a picture up right here. Those are so cool. But very few survived. The reason being, that's fiberglass and it's very thin. It's very breakable. But those did not survive. If you see them today, they're repops, guys. Unless, great grandma had hers in her house for the last 50, 60, 70 years, then yeah. Know your lampshades. Know most lampshades today were bought at Walmart or discount lighting houses. So what are some famous lights out there? Well, you have the Green Banker's desk lamp. Very easy. Everybody knows this light is a banker's lamp. It used to be on every banker's desk back in the 30s and 40s, 50s. You have the backlight lamps from the 40s. These are very cool. Art Deco look to them. A lot of lamps didn't survive because lamps are fragile. Okay, mine I showed you has the plaster looking base. Some of them had porcelain, ceramic. You could find brass or wood for the mid-century modern lamps. So there's a lot of different lamps. Come the 50s, that's when lighting started blowing up and a lot of different materials came into play. So there is a lot of good vintage lighting out there. If you get one that's been restored, you're going to pay a pretty penny. Or you can find more repop options like these available from different stores. Or you're going to find one more like my lamp that I just showed you. That needs some work, but it's not too bad. It just needs to be rewired. So guys, that's vintage lighting in a nutshell. If you want a more in-depth video about vintage lighting and to go out and actually look at some vintage lighting, comment down below vintage lighting more, and we'll do that. And again, on Friday, we're having Cooking Vintage episode 2, but we're making it easy. We cheated. So go check that out on our website. Head over to our Instagram. We'll be posting more stuff over there. So just go subscribe to all of them so you know what's going on. And of course, check out our Etsy shop. We have a lot of cool stuff. And I'm heading to an estate sale tomorrow. And I think we're going to end up with some really cool stuff. So thanks for being here today, guys. I will see you on Friday for Cooking Vintage. Bye-bye.